Live from VentureX Studios, it's JP, Kathy, and the crew.
Did we still have some more drum beat or some guitar strumming? That's okay. Well, good morning and welcome to JP, Kathy, and the crew. Super excited you have joined us today. Oh my goodness, lots today, and barely have an hour to get it all in, but we're going to do it. We've got usually we have Ask Dr. Be Good of the Ask Dr. Be Good show, all things public education on first, but instead we've got Senator Angela Paxton with the Senate Minute coming on. Oh my goodness, sorry, Baby Yoda. Just in a few minutes, she has a Senate Education Committee hearing at 8:30, so we're switching the schedule around. As you know, it is very close to sine die, the end of the Texas legislative session. Tons left to do, and I'm very excited to get an update live from the Capitol in Austin from Senator Paxton, hear what she has to say. So we'll let you know as soon as she's in the waiting room and ready to go. And then Dr. Rebecca Good, who, my goodness, has been a regular on our show and now has her own show, has had her own show for a couple of years now, will be on. And, of course, she is everything education. So if you want to know what is going on in the world of public education, in the charter school world, in just education in general, which there's been a lot of discussion, and I know there's been a lot of concerns this session with COVID, with the pandemic, and just all of the fallout from that. Will we be going back to school in the fall with masks, socially distancing, but everybody's back in school on campus unless there's an extenuating circumstance 5 days a week? That is to be determined. So, and I know people have very strong feelings about that one way or the other. So we're just going to be getting all kinds of updates on that. And then JP's going to be joining us. He's remote this morning, and he and I just have a plethora of things to talk about, including a shameless plug, again, for my son's fundraiser. He is within a little less than $2,000 of meeting his almost $9,000 goal. He has been fundraising like nobody's business. Oh, there's JP. What? Are you in space? Is he in space? I can't hear him yet. He's a mess. Anyway, so we're going to be asking for you to help us share, the crew to help us share my son's GoFundMe page and get him across the finish line so we can get this boy to Berkeley in Boston for 5 weeks. Oh my goodness, the reality, when that sits in, that's going to be a day. Can we hear JP yet? And this is another thing, and JP, I don't know if you can hear me yet, but like on one of our Friday Fun Day shows, we need to talk about people's choices of Zoom backgrounds and what that means about your personality. And we're trying to get sound. I know Chambria had an issue with sound with Dr. Clothier. Do we want him to come back out and come back in, or? JP, can you leave and come back, kind sir? I don't know if he can hear me. So let's see. Let's get this worked out before we get Senator Paxton on. Can you leave and come back in? We need to find out what the deal is with the audio. All righty. And I promise I did not touch it the other day. Everybody's going to say, Kathy, you probably operated the board. Nope, that was not me. It's what now?
I think Zoom crashed.
Oh, it's a Zoom issue?
Yeah. I'll get back up.
Okay, so we're getting Zoom back up. So anyways, as we wait for folks to come in, hop on our feed and tell us, oh, good morning. Let's see, we've got Michelle and Fred and my dad. Good morning. So Yeah, hop on and let us know. He said, just try. He could hear me, and his sound was on. So I think he's trying again. So I'm going to say try entering again. All right. Okay. So in the meantime, any questions for Senator Paxton when she calls in? I know this is the end of session. Even if you think of questions and it's not the day she's on, get those to us. We can get those over to her, and she will get those answered for you. She's really good about that. Her staff is phenomenal. Anyways. Good morning, Dr. Good. Just thank you so much for in advance asking questions about the session. Doesn't have to be about education just because she's on the education committee. She serves in a leadership capacity in many other committees and has her fingers in everything. So we definitely want to get information for her. Does anybody have any questions? We've got, good morning, Ann Guzman. Oh, now I can hear you. What did we do so we can hear now?
Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you now. Hello. Can you hear us?
I'm in space.
I know. So.
I've been able to hear you the whole time.
Right.
And my speaker was unmuted. And I'm a pretty good Zoomer, but
no,
I'm not
Zoom crashed. Zoom crashed. Zoom crashed. Yeah, good times. It was so funny. While we're waiting for Senator Paxton to come on, and do we have JP on the screen so everybody can see him in space? I think that's a funny background. That's funny.
I didn't even know I had a background. How does that grab you?
Okay, see, because that was my question. People do specific Zoom backgrounds, and I find it interesting. There you are. I find it interesting the different Zoom backgrounds people choose. It's interesting, like being on this past year, tons and tons and tons of political Zoom meetings. Everybody's got, the Constitution or American flags or, the Oval Office or something like that. So I think it's funny because some people do like James Bond backgrounds and things like that. So you didn't even choose space?
No, it
Lauriston,
chose me.
Good morning. How did that work? It just popped
I don't know,
up?
but it chose me.
Huh.
I guess so. I guess it just said you look like a space guy. So we're going to put you above the earth.
There you go.
The
Good
only thing I can
times.
think of.
Good times.
So do we have Senator Paxton, or do we have a minute?
We've got a minute until she comes on. As soon as she comes on, we will interrupt ourselves and put her on. So, she just popped in.
Well,
Excellent. She just popped in. So while she's getting on. Oh, she said she's in. You got her? Okay, perfect. All right, there we go. So JP, hold that thought. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning.
How are you?
Well, I'm doing well. I want to apologize in advance if I sneeze in the middle of this. The allergies have really swooped down upon me here in Austin.
You sound very sinusy, and you are in Austin, Texas, so go figure.
Thank you. Well, how's everything this morning?
Going well. You tell us. I mean, you guys are these are like, some of these are 20-hour work days you've got going on right now. So I know you're getting ready to go to an education committee meeting here in a few minutes. What's happening now? We're rapidly approaching sine die. So what's going on right now?
Yes. So I've got higher ed this morning. We'll be hearing bills and voting. I've got Health and Human Services a little bit after that. I'll be laying out some bills there. So part of what we're doing right now is we're laying out a lot of House bills. So I'm sponsoring House bills for many times our delegation and they do the same for me over in the House. A lot of times you try to find someone who is actually on the committee to lay out the bill.
Right.
It simplifies and streamlines the process a little bit. And then we've got session this morning at 11. Then I'll have a local government meeting again this afternoon, and we'll be hearing more bills and voting bills out. I've got a meeting with TEA this afternoon about some dyslexia legislation.
Oh, okay.
And I'm trying to get that bill in good shape. And then something that's super exciting this morning is that the governor is going to be signing the heartbeat bill at 9:15.
Yes.
Yeah,
Tell us about that.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Hey, John, you're in outer space. That's so cool.
I know, and I didn't even choose it. How do you like that?
And it kind of looks like there's wings behind you, or are you? I don't know. But no, it's very exciting, and I was a joint author on that bill, along with many of our, many of my colleagues. So we'll all be in there doing that. I did want to tell you about something that's unique happening today. Is and Kathy, you've been part of this initiative with me called 100 Women.
Yes.
With Angela Paxton. And there are a handful of those ladies that are actually coming to Austin today.
I
and they're
love
gonna
it.
chaperone me today. And they'll be going to committees. They'll be going to the floor. They'll get to participate in some of those things. And then we'll kind of debrief in between about what's going on. But just to kind of give a backstage pass to what happens in the legislature at this time of day. Or time of year. We heard 51 bills yesterday in
Woo!
business and commerce.
Wow.
And, I think I had 7 or 8 that were laid out that I was carrying. I also laid out 3 bills in criminal justice that are with regard to the victims of sexual assault task force. Regarding the processing of rape kits and that kind of thing. And so anyway, a very interesting bill that I'm partnering with Representative Shaheen on from a constituent who was a victim of sexual assault and was horrified to learn after she'd gone through everything in the legal process that her perpetrator was actually in a pen pal program through the prisons and victimizing other women.
You are kidding me. You are absolutely kidding me. Wow.
So these are the kinds of things that, I would never imagine. It's because someone has an experience with something that it's like, hey, there's a gap in our system because there's already legislation in place and rulemaking in place to prohibit sex offenders who are incarcerated from participating in like online types of things, but there wasn't for this. So anyway, we heard that and they passed it out right away in criminal justice yesterday. So anyway, lots and lots of different things. And that's a bill, for example, that it's not on the Republican Party of Texas priority list. It didn't get a low bill number, but to that woman, it is an incredibly high priority. And it will help other people not become victims of sexual assault.
Absolutely.
So there's all kinds of stuff that we're up to, and it's all over the place. But yeah, we are in the last 10. Well, I say 10 weekdays really, but we're in the last 2 weeks of the session. It's moving very fast.
Very quickly. Well, JP, I know you've got some questions.
Well, just wanted to go over what we had last week in regards to immigration. Were you able to come back with any research on that and how things are going and what Texas is going to do?
The problem that we have, as we kind of talked about last week, is that it is the federal government's purview to protect the border. I mentioned, I think last week, that my husband had been up in D.C. and I misstated something. I think I said that he was at he had been driving around the White House and that was fenced in. It was actually the Capitol that he was talking about.
Right.
We've got a fence around our nation's capital, but not around our nation. And so, sadly, the current administration is ignoring the practical and daily influx of people that they walk across. Many of these people walk across and just turn themselves into a border agent, not because they think they're going to get processed. Obviously, they know they don't have time to process it. And then a few weeks back, I mentioned about my trip down to the border. At one of these youth camps, I guess I'll call them, they said they get 700 new kids every day. That's young men. That's not boys and girls. That's just the boys. And so they keep them there, as for 10 days or so. They're trying to kind of quarantine them and make sure they don't have COVID.
Right.
But they don't come across with immunization records either. So we don't know what's coming across our border. We do know that just recently, I know Border Patrol told me they'd identified 51 different countries that folks were coming from. So it's not just Central America. It is, hey, everyone, the door's open on the border of Texas. Here's your way in.
Right. Interestingly enough, I was visiting with a district judge out of Odessa County, or out of Ector County, and he said that, so we've got them in hotels in Ector County, taking up space that our men and women that are working in the oil fields no longer have access to. The government's come in and bought those rooms. And what he was saying is that these people are committing crimes because they're not confined to their hotel room. And they're walking in and basically 3 days later walking out of the back of the jail to go back. Do we see Texas being able to clamp down on that and being able to actually do something when these folks commit crimes?
If they commit a state crime, they can be arrested. So, but just crossing the border is not a state crime, right? And so the sad thing there is you have to wait for these people to commit a crime. You have to catch them committing a crime, and then you have to process them. And so the sad thing is when you have to wait for the bad thing to happen, you can't prevent the bad thing from happening. And we are very concerned about many of these young men being taken into gangs, things like that. I mean, we all have kids. I mean, can you imagine just what happens when you let folks loose that don't have any good, strong, parenting around them, right? This is a time when young people need lots of guidance. And even if you want to think about it, to me, I'm thinking these kids are set up for a bad path, right? They're set up for a bad path. We know that many inner city youth, et cetera, get involved in crime because it's a way. It's right. It's a way of, it's something. It's a non-job path to, getting what you need to eat, finding a place to live, those sorts of things, having community around you, and it's setting these kids up for a bad path. None of us would want our family members, our kids that are in our families to be engaged in this kind of treatment. And our country has arranged for this. Again, when the policy was stay in Mexico until you're processed, number one, we didn't have people running free and not knowing where they are. They're not going to show back up for their court dates. They're not going to show back up for their court dates. So they weren't over here already. But the other side is it was also a disincentive for so many people just to flood across. It managed the numbers. I think I told you guys, I had a conversation with Van Taylor, and he said the cartels are literally advertising on television. And as you know, cartels aren't like a nice travel company that you send your kid along with or anyone else. And so I can only imagine what's happening, especially to these young women who are being transported across the border. So, I think we need to be speaking up. I think I mentioned bill by Senator Hall that was to create the opportunity for us to have interstate compacts with other states that are along the border to address these things. But, you know, we do still know that they, on the border, that the, at least one of those locations that I've talked to a number of elected officials that they can't get in there. And that in and of itself is a big red flag.
Absolutely. So, Senator, we know that you've got to get to an education committee meeting. Cannot thank you enough for joining us and taking the time out, especially these last 10 days, because we know it's just a mad dash down there in these last 10 days.
Well, it is. I so enjoyed doing this. We've got one more Wednesday, and I'd love to connect with you guys next Wednesday. We'll be in a different phase. I mean, you know, I think we had 400 or 500 House bills referred over just the other day. So, you know, that's the 31 of us are trying to get those things through committee as fast as we can, so that they still, while there's still a little bit of daylight on these bills. So, thank you for your prayers. Please continue to pray for us. You know, when there is this huge, massive bulk of bills, then they're not all going to get hurt. It's just the reality of it. So pray. I just asked for everyone's prayers for me, but I know the other members would appreciate it as well in the House and in the Senate, that we'd prioritize, that we'd be able to see and respond and move forward the things that are most important for Texans, that will make the biggest difference. So thank you guys for what you guys do to make a difference.
Well, we appreciate you
All
so
right.
much,
Thank
Senator. God bless you. Yeah, we are praying for you, and we will see you next Wednesday.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Senator. Good stuff. Good stuff. And we go from one great guest and one great member of the crew to another. We have Dr. Rebecca Good of the Ask Dr. Be Good show. So how are you this morning, Doctor?
I'm well, Doctor. How are you, Doctor?
Oh, no, okay. No, there she is.
All right.
Thanks,
Bye.
Senator. Good stuff. And we go from one great guest and one great
I can
member of
hear-
the crew to
I think I can hear somebody's
Dr.
device.
Good of Yes, Dr. Be Good Show.
You were on two devices.
There, I was going to say, I think
Angela,
so.
elegant.
I love it.
Angela's elegant.
How are you, Dr. Good?
I'm fine. I was sort of praying while Paxton was on about making sure they do prioritize some of those bills. That's a heck of a lot of
Oh, my goodness. Yes.
coming in, and you know, not all of them are well. There's one, and just for a second, let me not talk education. There's one bill that is trying to limit HOA house. You know, the HOA is the Housing Organization Association, and they want to make the committee members of an HOA personally liable, so they can be sued. Well, then nobody's going to want to be on an HOA to help keep a community,
Exactly.
you know,
Yeah.
accountable.
Yep.
And so those are the kind of things that I hope the common sense prevails. And speaking of common sense, you don't feel about the governor's edict about no masks after June 1st.
Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. What was the exact wording on that? I was taking care of a family member yesterday and did not get a chance to see a copy yet of what was passed down.
Well, basically, the government buildings, including schools, cannot mandate mask wearing anymore.
Right.
After like June 1st.
Right.
And so, you know, goodness gracious. Of course, Dr. Hinojosa from Dallas ISD right away put out that he hoped that his people in schools would use their common sense if they need to wear a mask or not. And so that's a very polite way of saying we don't agree. And so, you know, golly, it's hard to know, because I just recently read that now research is showing that there was a little bit of a bump in COVID after kids went back, after they were allowed to go back to school face-to-face. There was. And that makes sense. Of course, there would be a little bit of a bump because you've got more, germ-carrying kids coming together with adults and all of that. But I wish that the schools did not feel like there's so much a political football, right? And think about all of the drama that we've had around masks in the past year, because literally it's been a year and 2 months that we've had a back and forth on masks and the need to wear them, whether they protect us, they protect others, all of that. And now we have this before even the school year's over. So we're not even allowed to finish the school year because many of us started in September. So that means we won't end the school year until, I think we end June 9th and Dallas ends June 19th. So any disruption to a school environment, and JP, you know this, it's just tough. It luckily he waited till after STAR, so thank you, Governor. He waited till after STAR to make that edict. Gosh, I'll just be glad when summer gets here and we're not having to put in new things. So that's major, folks. That is. I mean, it took us a year to train people and kids to wear their masks and to do it faithfully, and now this. So how do you all feel about that?
Well, last night I was at the McKinney ISD board meeting, and in there.
Congratulations! Hey, congratulations, Chad Green, who you swore in. So, member of the crew.
I was in mid-sentence.
I know, but I had to say I had to interrupt. I haven't had a chance to interrupt you in 2 days.
Well, I may be in space, but I can reach you. Don't you think about that. No, I was at the McKinney ISD board meeting last night to swear in new board member Chad Green, and they have the 21-22 student code of conduct up. And in the student code of conduct, they have made the official change from mandate to may wear a mask if they choose to. And that was emphasized by the board president and by the board last night as well, that it's May. Interestingly enough, I had gotten out of the car, grabbed my robe, was in my suit, walking in and went, oh no, I forgot my mask. I went back and got my mask, walk in to find that nobody was wearing masks. But me. And I said, I'm done with that. Put the mask off. Again, being double vaccinated, I mean, I feel comfortable walking into that room. They did have some social distancing. So it seems like some are embracing, some are against that. I guess my thing is this. We've been so big on let's follow the science and not the politics. You got Dr. Fauci now saying that thank God the CDC released that because he can feel comfortable not wearing a mask in a room now, that he was only doing it because he didn't want people to feel uncomfortable. The CDC releasing the science that we can do this. And so my thing is that if we've been following the science the whole time, and we should be following the science the whole time, guess what? Now that the masks have been said to no longer be mandatory, we need to follow the science.
Now, if we've learned anything, though, in this past year, you know how we talk about fuzzy math? We've talked about fuzzy science for a year now.
Oh, gotcha.
That science has changed. It's gone to where, the COVID would linger for days on a surface, and now it doesn't linger at all, or lingers 3 seconds, or, you have to wait for the next research report to know what to believe as far as that kind of science. So fuzzy science has been our friend this year.
Well, and that's been my argument the whole time, is that, you've got these folks that are real regimented about following the science, but yet the science didn't agree with the science. You've got experts out of Stanford University saying that they shouldn't have been hiding people from each other in California, that they should have been protecting the elderly and the infirmed and let everybody else go out there and pass it around and get it done with. So, I mean, it's interesting how, like you said, we've had fuzzy science. And when it doesn't work towards one group's way, all of a sudden they change against the science. i.e., the National Teachers Union.
Yeah. The whole thing has just been a head shaker. No words, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, and, and I've always gone back to, just real quick, because I know everybody obviously has their opinions on masks one way or the other. I don't think there's anybody who's neutral on this. I think, again, I've always thought, leave decisions about people's health up to the individuals. If you're an individual who, for example, my mom she's, in the middle of getting ready for cataract surgery. So we've been having, at least one doctor's appointment a week, sometimes two, in preparation for her to get both of her eyes operated on, because one's a very significant, involved process, more so than most. And so I know, just because my mom is a cancer survivor, she feels more comfortable going into all of these facilities with a mask on. Great. So, whereas I'm the type that, because of my asthma, because I don't like the masks, and when I'm trying to fill out forms and I've got my glasses on, I can't see, I'd rather pull it down. So I think, again, it's just, I think individuals are smart. At the end of the day, you're responsible. If you've been vaccinated, if your family's been vaccinated, if you're hanging around, like the majority of the folks I hang around now, it's interesting, the ones I'm physically seeing in person on a regular basis, I'm actually quite surprised, especially since a number of them are conservative. And I know, JP, we didn't want to make this a political thing, but it is what it is. The majority of the folks I know are like, oh, hey, somebody will go to give me a hug now, which I'm like thrilled, because we've been hug deprived for a year. And they're like, I'm vaccinated. It's good. I've had both shots. Now, I do have a lot of people who stopped after one shot because they heard there were going to be side effects from the second one. So I wonder how that's going to, play out in the grand scheme of things, if people end up getting COVID, or if that one shot may be just enough.
Well, I think I heard that if you get one shot, it's like a 75%
Oh,
efficiency
okay.
rate
Okay.
with the second. But didn't we all buy into the science of it? When we wear a mask, it protects others, right?
Right.
Yes.
So if you're the only one wearing a mask in a room, then you can still catch COVID from. There's this counterintuitive belief that if I wear a mask, I'm going to protect myself. But in fact, that's not what the science says, right? I'm actually only protecting others. So if nobody else is wearing a mask, there's no point in you wearing a mask unless you're sick.
Yeah, and
that's absolutely true. I mean,
that's why I think it ends up coming down to what makes people feel comfortable. And if that wearing that mask, be it you feel like you're not going to get it, you're going to get it, whatever the case may be, knock yourself out. I think we'll see people continuing to wear masks, not the majority. This is my prediction. 10 this and 5 cents will get you nothing. I think you will see people continuing to wear a mask, even when we're well past, when the majority of folks have been vaccinated, when we're well past any kind of mandates, federally, locally, statewide, whatever the case may be. I think you're still going to see people in masks, just, for all times now, because it's become part of culture and part of a safety thing and a health thing for some folks.
I hope that our new family and school narrative, when it comes to sickness, is if we know that we have a common cold, or we think we're coming down with something, with a COVID or flu, then we would wear a mask to protect others. But and we continue to use hand sanitizer and to wash our hands. Encourage our little ones to continue washing.
Thank you.
And socially distance. I think we've made great inroads on the hand washing thing, even for males. At least I'm hoping.
Yeah, keep hoping.
Yeah, keep that hope alive.
Homeboy walks right out. I'm like, really, dude? Wash your nasty hands.
I know.
Like, seriously.
I still haven't gotten over that.
Yeah, we learned way too much in some cases.
Yes, we did.
Through COVID. But the sheer numbers. I'm a data person, and when I read that there were only almost 2,300 cases of flu compared to 38 million the year before, all of this science works if we do it, if we wash our hands and stay socially distanced and wear a mask when we think we're sick. Golly, we can really, really, make an inroads on our own health and our family health.
Well, I know that Dr. Clothier said they weren't tracking the flu like they were before. And so is that a result of that, or do we just not get the flu as much?
That's a good question. I'll dig up the article and send it.
You know what also is interesting? Unlike Texas, places like Virginia, people were not allowed out. Their kids literally have been home for the full year. Whereas here in Texas, we've been outgoing. So I also wonder how much of it is staying home, right, and not going out, like states like Virginia. California clamps down super hard as well. So it's interesting. The pandemic has created so many variables. And what I'm hoping we've learned is that we are very vulnerable, and that maybe we need to make sure we protect ourselves domestically from things that could end up in our water system or our air, and kind of behave ourselves and be aware.
Well, from your lips to God's ear, because my fear is we're going to go back to, there's that tendency to default to to the old status quo, right? And so as we get more comfortable not wearing masks and starting to hug people and so forth, that we will start seeing an increase in, again, the flu, common cold. I don't know COVID if we can get enough people vaccinated. So, we have to work at this new normal of socially distancing and sanitizing and wearing a mask when we feel sick.
Well, it was kind of like the run on toilet paper. It's like, you people seriously didn't wipe your rear end beforehand?
Oh, no. Oh, too early for that. Early.
No, it's not. But we're talking about the same thing, though. All the things we've learned from the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
We've been buying all this hand sanitizer, but have we been using it? We have all this washing soap for our hands, but do we use it? Nope.
It's just, and the whole washing your hands thing, I wonder, is that a family thing? Because I know, my mom, she was like, you didn't have a choice. It's like, wait a second, we just came in from outside. You wash your hands before you go and get a snack. Don't even touch the refrigerator handle before you wash your hands. So that was something that I passed on to my kids. I was like, okay, guys, y'all just went out and were playing with the dog, and now you're going to eat a snack. Wash your hands. I wonder if that kind of ends up being, and I would really just love to know this in general, is that something that's passed on from generation to generation? Either you're a family that washes your hands and tries to keep germs at bay, or you're not. Is that, I wonder, it's one of those things like, some families vote, some families don't. It's kind of like, well, why do you vote? Well, my parents always voted, so I vote. Well, my parents always made me wash my hands, so I made my kids wash their hands. I wonder if that has anything to do with anything.
We need a survey.
Yes.
Right.
Survey. Yeah.
Love it.
I know. I was always a hand washer, but I have washed my hands more since COVID. I come in from the grocery store and I'll go right straight to the sink and wash my hands, and then continue with life. It's a good habit. It's just a good habit.
Yep, it is. And then I always do, and I'll do this as long as they've got it available. When you walk into a grocery store, when I grab that cart, I take two of the hand wipes they've got, and I wash and I wipe both sides, even if the carts are already disinfected. I'm like, somebody's touched it somewhere, because I am in the grocery store for at least, a 15, 20, sometimes 30 minutes, depending on if it's my main big shopping trip for the week. And so I know I'm going to be touching that. If somebody was sneezing who had that cart before me, well, again, maybe that keeps me from getting the flu, and I'm good with that.
So we're going to go through a transition period, because I know that I'll walk in some stores and everybody's wearing a mask, and I'll walk in another and nobody's wearing a mask, and there's still a wear a mask sign on the door.
Right,
so
right.
You're still going to need to, have that thing hanging from your ear in case you need it when you walk in.
Yes.
Until you don't, right? Who knows how long that's going to take.
Right. Exactly. Well, so Dr. Good, I'll tell you, we are past at least a big phase of STAR testing.
Yeah.
We'll have makeups coming up. You know, I mean, what are we thinking? What are we feeling out there? Do we get a feeling of apprehension or a feeling of excitement?
Well, actually, we had some of the high school STAR score, the EOCs, the end of courses came in last night, and we were very, very pleased with our scores. We actually had some kids mastering, which is nice to know. And so already we're getting some indications that just having the kids back, and the high schoolers didn't even come back until that later, but the teachers were very intentional. So we are already getting some good news. Now the STAR scores that were done this last week and the week before, those won't come in until the end of the month, first part of June. And that's just in time to let us know who has to go to summer school. Because even though 5th and 8th grade didn't have to take it 3 times, they still are considered SSI grades, the Student Success Initiative grades, going on to the next level. 5th graders going on to middle school, 8th graders going on to high school. If they did not score well, they will have to go to summer school in preparation and for the following level, you know, the going to middle school or going to high school. So lots of decision making still ahead. But, you know, remember, and a lot of people don't remember, that many school districts started very late. We started later in August, so our school year doesn't end until June 9th. Dallas ISD doesn't end until about the 19th of June.
Right.
So, and then if they want to start a regular school year, they've got really just the month of July. And so I don't know how they're going to do their summer school and how their teachers are going to feel about doing summer school. So
Right.
We do luckily have some teachers in our district who are happy to work with the kids. But there's still so many decisions: hybrid, virtual, face-to-face, what to mandate, what we can't, what parents are comfortable with. I mean, it's not over yet, folks. All this COVID decision making is not over. And you know, Angela was asking for prayers for the legislators. Will ask for prayers for our public educators because
Yes.
we need them. We still have lots of decisions to make.
You
Well,
know,
Dr. Good, thank you so much.
yeah, thank you so much. And let's just say, and JP and I will say this a million times over, teachers have always been our heroes. Now more than ever, it's the end of the year. Everybody who has a kid who's school age, get your child's teacher, an end of school year present. Just saying.
Yeah, a little gift card to a favorite restaurant or something.
You
just
got
to
it.
Say thank you.
You got it. Absolutely.
Long way.
Well, we'll see you on
All right,
Sunday,
well,
Dr. Good.
There you go. Yeah, help the restaurant. There you go.
Yes.
Thanks, Al. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Have a good one.
right, bye-bye.
Thanks, Dr. Good. Gosh,
All
well, I
right.
always say good stuff after we talk to Dr. Good. I feel like that's redundant. Dr. Good with good stuff. Oh, that's our second
With good
podcast.
stuff. So
That's a
now-
new show for you, Dr.
Now
Good.
we have right, the Good Dr. Good show. Now, do we have Marine pilot Chuck Wright in the room?
What do you say? Hoorah or what did he answer?
Hoorah!
There you go. Yes. Good morning
as
to
I
you,
wake
Chuck
up,
Wright. There he is.
Oh, that's our second. That's a new show, Dr.
Now we have right. All right, Chuck, you're listening. Do we have Marine pilot Chuck Wright in the room? There we go.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I had to turn off. I was listening to the show.
Yeah.
I'm a fan as well as a contributor.
We love it.
So, Chuck, how did things go? And what's up next?
So interesting you say what's up next. We're going to talk and we're going to invite all of the JP, Kathy, and the Crew listeners to join the team. I put the link for the JP, Kathy, and the Crew website in the message chat box, the
Excellent.
Facebook chat box. So that's what's up next. Real quick, I will summarize what was an insane, incredibly emotional, incredibly fun last several days. On Thursday, I had the honor of emceeing the dedication of the North Texas Gold Star Family Monument at Frisco Commons in Frisco, where it's located. But the real thrill of that was being with 97-year-old last surviving Medal of Honor recipient from World War II, Herschel Woody Williams, who's just an amazing man.
Incredible man. Incredible man. And Chuck, real quick, you would never know. And this is obviously, I told him, I said, basically, Chuck Wright is your PR person. I said, because I feel like I know you personally just from hanging out with Chuck over the years. But when I met him, I mean, unless I knew because you had told me that he was a 97-year-old individual, he travels all the time. He makes appearances. He works the crowd. He talks to everybody, takes pictures with everybody. Would never believed in a million years he was 97. Please let me be in that good a shape at age 97.
Exactly. He will probably outlive you and I.
There you go.
He's still going strong.
He is.
He is just a great individual. And I ask people, go to my Facebook page, go to the North Texas Gold Star Family Monument page. There's the Marine Corps League of Collin County has put theirs up. There's a ton of pictures out there. I've got to we had 2 professional photographers out there who haven't posted their pictures yet. Some of the pictures are just awesome. And obviously I have a bias because we spent 2.5 years bringing this project to fruition, and we did something. So we were the 81st monument in the nation, but we were the first one. So what we added, and I'm sorry, I don't have a picture to throw up. Basically, it's a beautiful black granite monument honoring our Gold Star families. And in between it's 4 panels, and between 2 of them is the cutout of a Marine saluting. And I say Marine because that cutout represents Woody Williams. So one of our members had the idea, and it was a father and son team, and neither one of them wants to take credit for it. So Roy and Mark, whoever came up with that, an awesome idea. But we took the cutout and basically created a separate freestanding statue returning the salute. And in Frisco, subtle thing, but it was very important. Can't believe I even thought of this. The cutout is also lined up with the American flag at the Veterans Memorial. So it wound up being beautiful, and it's the first one of those that's ever been done. I have been told that every monument that has seen it has wanted to do it for theirs. And Woody loved it. It was a great tribute. There is a picture up there that means the world. My wife called me crying and said, "Did you see Myers Jackson's picture of you and Woody?" And I said, "No," and I went and found it.
Oh, it's amazing.
I understood why she was crying.
It is it's a beautiful picture. It's just, and there is so much emotion, so much patriotism, and so much pride in that picture. And then let's talk about the golf tournament too. So we had the Memorial Thursday in Frisco for the monument, and then Friday's golf tournament.
We had the golf tournament, and we hadn't broken the code yet on how to play music through the speaker system. So we needed somebody at the last second, and there was nobody more appropriately dressed or handled it better than our own lovely Kathy Ward. Jumped up, did the Pledge of Allegiance, and there's a couple of awesome pictures of you and I, Woody Williams, Commandant Robert Neller, Sergeant Major Gene Overstreet, 12th Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. Just an incredible cast of characters out there. We had a great time. The barbecue was right here in Rudy's. Really
it was
good.
So good. And Chuck, thank you so much. It was such an honor. When you asked me to do the Pledge of Allegiance, I was like, me? I was like, absolutely. But I'm looking around at all the amazing individuals, and I'm like, are you sure you want me? And you're like, you're dressed for it. Get up there, kid. So thank you for that honor. And especially standing up there next to Woody Williams. I will never forget that. Never.
Well, I am glad. I was so pleased that you were out there. It was such a gathering of great friends and supporting a great cause. We support Homeless Veteran Services of Dallas with our golf tournament, which is also the Veteran Resource Center. It is both. It serves the needs of the 40 county area surrounding DFW. Great organization. but you said what's next. So we talked
Yes.
about that was last week.
I know,
Let's
yeah,
get to
what's
this
what's
week.
this week?
And this week, and I've got some exciting news this morning. But for everybody who's watching, if you're on Facebook, and I'm going to have JP and Kathy put it on the website, and I think the show goes out in about 172 different places, so I can't name them all. I've never heard of most of them, but that's okay. But for all of our listeners, we've got a really simple ask. We're not asking for any money. It's an opportunity to fundraise, but you don't have to fundraise a nickel. I am part of, and we've talked about this, Carry the Load.
Yes.
And Carry the Load is about restoring the true meaning of Memorial Day. And I am so pleased that you guys have created a team for Carry the Load.
Yay.
And it's the JP, Kathy, and the crew team. You were trying to say something. And I walked right over you.
No, you didn't. I'm just like, yay, that's good stuff because we're excited about this.
Yay.
It's a
I start
cheerleader
going,
moment.
I just don't know when to stop. But please, we're asking all the listeners. Fred, I know you're out there. Fred came out to the golf tournament. We had a blast getting to meet Fred. All we're asking you to do is sign up and join the team. And there is no cost. Don't check the $35 T-shirt unless you just want to buy one. But we're not requiring. Go to the free. You're going to be part of the Dallas March. Next Sunday, we're going to start in Dallas. And we're going to march around uptown Dallas, really, not downtown, but uptown. And then we're going to hit the Katy Trail, and we're going to march up the 3 miles out, 3 miles back. And along Katy Trail, and I forgot to post this. I don't want to start Facebook because of bleed over and the noise, but I will post the picture. I actually carry 2 classmates from TBS, but one of them is Don Woolly Bear Woollett. We lost him in the bomb blast at Beirut. I love the mission of Carry the Load because it gives me an opportunity to tell Woolly Bear's story about 100 times a year. Our family will never let Woolly Bear go. And the one thing that I want to say real quick. There's nothing wrong with family barbecues. There's nothing wrong with car sales. There's nothing wrong with any of that. But Memorial Day is about remembering those who gave their last full measure of devotion to their nation. And they say that every man dies 2 deaths. The day he takes his last breath of air, and the day the last person says their name out loud. So that's one of my commitments, is that our veterans are not forgotten. Don't look at me. I was trying to be all exciting and uplifting after the rest of the show. And here I am getting emotional on everybody. But it is emotional. It is very important.
It's emotional.
And I appreciate so much you guys starting a team, pushing this out. I finally humiliated Kathy at the golf tournament. She finally signed up.
Literally sitting there eating barbecue with you.
I am persistent.
I love it.
I am very persistent. So, it's awesome. It's a fun event. But here's the thing, because I know that you've got listeners not only nationally but internationally. You don't have to come march. You don't have to do anything. Just sign up. Just be part of what we're doing. And just on Memorial Day, take a couple minutes. And you know what? If you haven't lost anybody, and I know about half of your listeners have, about half of them haven't.
Right.
You feel free to borrow mine. Or if you come out to River Shawn Park, you will literally see thousands of stories like the one that I'll post on the Facebook feed in just a second. And there are thousands of them. And Michelle and I will do that, and we'll walk, and we'll go, and every 10th one we'll try to read. And our logic is in the next 10 years, we're going to try to read every one of these stories.
Wow.
Very cool.
I love that. Well, Chuck, God bless you for everything you do.
Right. Thank you for all you do. And don't forget Kilroy's conversation on Saturday morning.
We're going to have a lot of fun. Lots of
8
new
a.m.
stories to share.
Always fun.
It has been fun.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you guys
Chuck,
so much.
You.
Thank you.
Man, thanks for all you do.
Good stuff. Yeah, that what a great
All
Thursday
right.
and Friday, and then moving into Carry the Load, just all kinds of good stuff to help support veterans. And these are the people, JP, who some have paid the ultimate sacrifice, and we can't forget them. They're the reason we have the freedom to do what we want on this show and have a good time and party and rock and roll and whatnot. Right,
So
Spaceman?
talking about partying and rocking and rolling and whatnot, we're running out of time. I went and did my part. I went on the GoFundMe page and
Yay!
donated to CJ for a cause. Go to Berkeley, not the one on the West Coast. And so hopefully he makes his goal. And so I'm going to ask everybody on my Facebook page to just donate $1 to CJ's GoFundMe account to help him get out to music camp and have an experience of a lifetime. If everybody did that, CJ would make his goal and he'd be able to go.
Oh,
But just
absolutely.
$1.
Yep.
$1 will help CJ get to camp. So if you
Yes.
can go onto his GoFundMe page, it's on my page. You can find it there and GoFundMe.
Well, and thank you for that, JP. And I really do appreciate what we've done is, obviously family and friends have pushed it out, including JP, onto their social media. But what CJ's been doing, when he came to us and, said, I'd like to do this, first of all, would y'all, approve me going to Boston to Berklee College of Music for this 5-week program? And, absolutely, his grades are great, good kid, like I said, he's my rule follower. He loves music. It's his life. It's what he wants to do professionally. So absolutely. But what we've been doing is he's been calling family, close family friends like JP and doing fundraising phone calls because we said we would love for you to go. It's almost $9,000. How are you going to raise the money? And so he hopped on. He said, well, what about crowdfunding? And let me look into that, and did a GoFundMe page and has been putting in time. Probably at this time spent, I don't even know how many hours over the last, since last Friday on the phone, talking to people, explaining his dream and his passion. I do have to say, it's so funny. So, JP, who CJ obviously has known since he was a baby, CJ's talking to JP, and JP gave some of the same hints and tips when it comes to fundraising that I gave. It's funny how he gets off the phone with JP and he's like, that's a really good idea JP had. And, he made a really good point about, this push and about this, that, and the other. And I'm sitting there going, biding my time. I'm like, I told you he would have some great ideas. And I said, what a generous donation. And, he's like, I said, that's really good. He goes, I hadn't really thought of it that way. So CJ goes back to his room. He's partying, rock and rolling, whatever. I go into the other end of the house and call JP and I go, So just to let the record show, these 3 things or 5 things or however many things that CJ took away from that conversation they thought were such a great idea. I said, how come when you said it to him, he listened and I had said the same thing and it was like a blank stare?
And it just happens that way.
I was like, okay, JP gets way more street cred than me.
It's just funny. Oh, no kid listens to their parent, but they'll listen to the next one. Go figure.
Yeah, no, it just cracks me up. I was just laughing. I was like, okay, why did I know that would happen? So we do appreciate everybody with some commitments from, he's even given up the money that his dad and stepdad and I were going to give him for a clunker of a car this summer to get from point A to point B with work and everything. He said, instead, if y'all would donate that money, then I will buy my own car, used car to get around. And then, has talked to grandparents and, aunts and uncles and said, hey, if you donate, this is my birthday money, my Christmas money, and graduation money. I won't expect anything from you. I will consider this your gifts for the rest of my life. So, I respect the fact that he is really, he loves this. He's really determined to make it happen. Right now with JP's donation, he is just under $2,000 towards his goal. So, we're really hoping and praying he gets there and would love it if the crew would help us out.
All right. And with that, I'm sure Nathaniel's got the music rolling. as we have rolled upon 9 o'clock. What a busy Wednesday. Tune in for Friday as we have more fun kicking it around.
Yeah, we do. We've got a Forever Miss Texas on. I believe it's Forever Miss Texas. I need to go check with Susan Schuler. And then we've got a gentleman, Brad, a friend of mine and JP's, who is a young business owner of multiple businesses, going to be talking small businesses and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and the pandemic and what's happened there. And then I've got an announcement about Kira, because we're going to be looking for some votes for her, as she is a finalist in the Miss Texas Pet Photo Competition. So, yes, so as if this little 16-pound dog could not be more spoiled or less disciplined, it is happening in my household. Love you, JP.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, I know.
Good luck with
Y'all
that.
have a good one.
Everybody be good.